Good afternoon. We're here at Exodus Institute, 816 North Laramie, and it's Wednesday, and it's warm and beautiful here in Chicago. The sun is shining bright, and we're going to have a lovely show because I happen to have a couple of lovely ladies here with me. I happen to have Gail and Doris over here to my right, and they're going to introduce themselves and tell what they want and what they're going to do for the neighborhood, community, and the events and different things that they have. So starting to my right, would you introduce yourself and your organization and what you want to tell us?
My name is Doris Lewis, and I'm a community activist, and I'm with a group called Concerned Citizens of Chicago. And I want to thank the Exodus Institute for allowing us to come and just talk about what we have planned that's coming up. On the 20th, I got a cold so I can understand. On the 21st of January, we're going to be holding a mayoral candidate forum at 125 East 26th Street. Now, what I have done and what we have done, we have put together, and it's called a Contract for Black Chicago. What we've done a lot of research on the various departments here in Chicago, the City of Chicago departments like the Fire Department, the Police Department. We've done a lot of research outlining the percentage of black people versus whites versus Hispanic. We've got all that information down. And so on this day, we're going to present this contract to these mayoral candidates. And the reason we're doing this is because we continue to allow people to run for political office, and we do not give them an agenda. And this will be the first time in the city of Chicago that I know that they will be given an agenda, and we're going to be asking them to sign on to this agenda. And if they don't sign this contract with Black Chicago, then we're asking Black Chicagoans to not vote for them. We cannot continue to allow politicians to come before us and not say what they're going to do for us. When they go and speak to the white community, they speak specifically to the white community, the concerns and the interests of the white community. When they speak to the Hispanic community, they speak specifically to the Hispanic community. So it's time out now for them to come in and talk about people of color, and we've got to do something for everybody. They don't speak that way when they speak to other groups. And that is why we put this agenda together. It's very specific. It lists every department with the city of Chicago. And as all of you know, if you walk out any place in the city of Chicago, you see everybody working but black men and black women. So we want to turn that around. I'm going to be mailing to these candidates a copy of this contract and a letter inviting them to participate in this forum. And those who don't come, then we know they're not supporting us, and we're not going to support them. So that is the primary reason of having this forum. And again, for the first time, these people will be given an agenda. I'm sorry that I didn't bring the contract for Black Chicago with me, but I can get it to who's over this institute. So again, I want to thank you for allowing us to speak. Again, this forum will be January the 21st, 125 East 26th Street, and will be from 1 to 4 p.m.
Now that's just east of Chinatown, isn't it?
It's east of King Drive.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
you know where Mercy Hospital is, right across from Mercy Hospital. The emergency room of Mercy Hospital.
Now, is anyone invited? Everybody's invited?
I'm sorry. The public is invited. It's a public forum, so anyone can come. In fact, I'm encouraging Black Chicagoans to turn out for this, because again, as I said, this is the first time, and I've been a community activist for a long time, and this is the first time that we will be giving them an agenda. We are not, black people do not give these politicians an agenda. So they come and they take our votes, but we don't ask anything of them. So you really can't blame them. It's up to us. We have to change the narrative. We've got to change the paradigm. We're going forward in 2023 and on, because this is for our young people. This is for our future. So we've got to demand, we're not letting them tell us what they're going to do. We are telling them what they have to do for the black community. They have to commit to us what they're going to do for the black community. And as all of you know, the unemployment in the black community is 50% in some areas. 50%. That is criminal. That's immoral. That's a shame. And as black Chicagoans, we should be concerned about this. We're talking about our young people out there killing and doing whatever they're doing. Well, what have we done so that they won't be doing these things? We haven't done what we need to do. You know, our ancestors left us something, but what are we leaving these young people? We're not leaving them anything. Now, I'm opposed to violence and all those kinds of things. And I think about what Dr. King said. Dr. King said, violence is the language of the unheard. And these young people, we're not listening to them. So it's time for us to demand of these politicians what we want, because these people are in a position to do what they need to do for us, just as they're doing it for everybody else.
So we need the young and the old
to
come out. Will they be able to voice their opinions once they get there?
The agenda, and we're being very specific about this, they can ask questions, but those questions have to come from the agenda. Okay. And you know and I know, if you allow politicians to start responding to things, if you don't ask them specific things, they will go off on their own narrative. This is our narrative. This is a contract for Black Chicago. We define the narrative, not them. They need our votes. So we will control and define this narrative. We are going to have young people there. I encourage you to encourage everybody who can come out to this event to come out. And we are going to have our young people there. They will have a copy of the agenda. But again, the questions will come from this agenda and nothing else.
Make sure we get a copy of that.
I will definitely do that.
Can they find that online? Do you have it?
I don't have it online. No,
okay.
It's but I will get you some copies. No problem.
All right.
Yes.
Gail,
Hi, my name is Dr. Gail Frazier, and I am a minister. I'm also an educator. I'm also an engineer by degree, and I'm concerned citizen and a whole bunch of other things, wife, mother, grandmother. And the reason, and I wanted to just piggyback off of what Sister Doris said, I want to say that there is a Black agenda online.
Yes.
And it's inbackchicago.org. So if anyone wants to look at that, then they surely can go on, download it. It's in book form and it's also in print form. So a person can choose to do that. It's nbacchicago.org. And as what Sister Doris said regarding the 21st of January, that's where it's going to be the candidates forum, the political forum dealing with the mayors. And on the 14th of January, we're going to be addressing the most recent agenda that the government and his constituency signed off on, which is the comprehensive sex agenda. And this comprehensive sex agenda is impacting all of our children from grades kindergarten to 12. And what this agenda is a very graphic, detailed explanation to exploit our children relative to sexual practices, so forth and so on. It promotes the LGBTQ pedophile agenda, and so we're letting it be known that this is something that every intelligent person has to investigate. We are so often going along with everybody's thing, as Sister Doris said. We don't do our own research, and so things are put under the current so that we won't see it. You know what they used to say about us: if you want to hide anything from a Black person, you know, if you want to hide anything, you put it in a book. Well, in this particular thing, if you want to hide something, put it in an agenda and send it out, and don't have town hall meetings notifying the parents of what these individuals are planning to do to our children, your children, our grandchildren. Our position is this: sexually graphic materials is not to be included in any school setting. I don't care if it's 12th grade, I don't care if it's 11th grade. A person's sexual preference is their own desire, their own thing that they want to do. That's there. We don't have anything to do about what people practice behind their doors. But when it comes down to impacting our children, we have to express outrage. We've been going around the city, excuse me, holding sessions, letting people know, and the majority of people were totally unaware. Why? Because it was intentionally done. I wrote a letter to the governor. Sister Doris also wrote a letter to the governor, and others may have written a letter to the governor saying that it's an egregious overreach from the government and them not having town hall meetings to address these graphic, sexually explicit materials. Nobody needs to know about how to masturbate. Nobody needs to know anything about anal sex. Nobody needs to know about cross-dressing and all of. Nobody needs, not our children. And if you take the time to look on the National Sex Agenda or the Illinois Sex Agenda Register, you'll see a face of a little black young female girl that's on the cover page of this thing. Now, some individuals say, well, you know, you're doing the most. Some folks say, oh, you just boosted it. Back in the day, we had sex education where it talked about the male and it talked about the female organs and this and that. We have not forgotten about those things. But when you start to impose and superimpose these graphic, terrible acts and deeds unto our children, it's totally unacceptable. We don't, and it is satanic, immoral, and anything else you can think of. We're not against anybody in particular, but we do know, and I've said it before, that if you don't love the children, then you're not going to tell them the truth. We can't go along with the okie doke. We can't go along and try to get along with everybody who's saying that it's okay. And we want to find out those who sponsored this bill, and we need to find out from them, did they actually read this? Because the way it is written, you have to be totally discriminating, and you have to be operating in some degree of discernment to know specifically what these words mean. How do you teach a kindergartner comprehensive or consensual sex? How do you teach them? How do you teach them consent? A kindergarten can't read. A kindergartner can't write. The kindergartner's comprehension level is not to the point where anybody can understand. They don't understand this. And when you trust your teachers and the school system to be able to tell you the truth about things, and then they put in all these other individuals from different locations, having them now to be teachers over our children, where's the outrage?
Yes.
When they started having all of these individuals from corporate America and so forth and so on through Teach for Chicago and all these other programs, they had them to come in. Where do you think these people came from? Now, of course, I'm not putting a blight on anybody, but the bottom line is from the position that I'm standing as a woman of God, as well as a minister, I'm crying aloud and I'm sparing not. It's not about friendship. It's not about trying to make anybody feel a certain way. It's about saving, protecting our children from this demonic force that's trying to destroy them. And if we have any understanding about how the enemy works, he comes in real slick. Okay? And as Sister Doris already said, we've been bamboozled on so many levels that we don't even understand what's going on. They have all these individuals in the classroom, cross-dressing and all of these other kinds of things. And if anybody took the time to look, the white Americans, many of them have had town hall meetings all around, letting it be known, we're not going to have this garbage. We're not going to have this garbage in the classroom. They are not going to have this. And so as black concerned citizens, parents, community activists, so forth and so on, we have to be concerned about our children. We have to be concerned because you have to think in terms of years down the road, what are we going to see? What is this child going to look like years down the road after they've been indoctrinated into the LGBTQ pedophile agenda? Pedophile agenda, pedophile agenda, pedophile agenda. It is unacceptable. And we are standing and we're saying on the 14th that we're going to be having the forum to address these things because we're calling it out. We're calling it out. We're calling it out. I don't care who's in office. I don't care who's running for office. I don't care how folks feel. it matters not to me. The bottom line is we have to save our children, and we can't depend on any devil to save our children, considering the fact that the devils are the ones who've been running these schools for a whole bunch of time, and our children can't read. They can't write. They don't know any essay. They can't write an essay. They can't spell. And how can I say that? Because I'm an educator. I know it. Fortunately for me, I taught mostly in Christian schools and schools that were mostly in Christian schools. I'll leave it like that. And so it was on us when we were teaching that we had to make sure they learned. It wasn't a thing where we were trying to dumb down the curriculum. Why? Because that represented us. Now we have individuals out here, they are high schoolers, graduate, can't pass a basic test, but we can tell them about how to have sex, how to have LGBTQ relationships, how we can do all that, how we can freak on one another. Let me just make it plain. This is what we're teaching them, or not what we're teaching them, but what they're being exposed to. There has to be outrage. And we have to hold everybody who's running for office accountable. Who signed on this? Why did you sign on this? Did you read it? Now, what they've done is they tried to cover it under the guise of bullying. They said, well, the LGBTQ pedophile community has been bullied. Well, of course, we don't want anybody to be bullied, but we don't want you to turn it into a freak show either. Teaching our children things that they ought not know. Their parents don't even teach them this, because many of the parents don't even know about this stuff. So, having said all of this, and of course we're always open for questioning and everything like that, we're not hating on anybody, we love it on our children. And we're not on our watch going to sit back and just be muted or be silenced because someone says that you're a homophobe or you're this or you're that. It's not even about things like that. We love everybody. Why? Because God is love. If God is on the inside of us, if he's on the inside of you, he's on the inside of me, then God is love. So it's not even about that. The issue is addressing things that's trying to destroy our children, and we're saying on our watch, not so. So that's pretty much what I have to say pertaining to this. Please ask questions. We're here for answers.
You know, before you do, I just want to mention one thing that she did bring up. And if you noticed last week, not only are they trying to deceive us, they have really gotten very bold. They have sat back and they said Satan is in the schools. They have the signs. They're protesting and marching to get this approved for Satan to be a part of the school system.
Absolutely.
And it's going on in 3 states right now, and it's coming to Illinois.
Oh, yes.
You know, they're still kind of keeping things undercover. But in 3 states, it is real prevalent, and they're actually out here protesting and doing different things, and we have to stand up. We have to get out here. We don't have to go and just protest, but we got to come out and make these politicians be accountable. Absolutely. And especially protect our children.
And if I could just say something to what you just got through saying, you have to sit back and think, why do you think they got rid of most of the black teachers? I mean, they started phasing out the black teachers because the black teachers were the ones who were actually standing in the gap. Yeah. So you get rid of them, and you have all of these other programs to bring in all these white folks and different ones to come in. And of course, I'm not talking about no hatred, so I don't want anybody emailing me or Googling me or telling me anything about hatred. I'm saying what it is. You get all these white folks and others coming in to teach our children the pedophilia and all of these things. This was strategically designed. And because people operate in ignorance, and because people have no spiritual understanding or reference of what this hidden hand is, we go along with it as if it's okay. When I said our children cannot read, the focus has to be on this. We're talking about creating engineers and all of this, and they can't read. They don't know basic math. But we can tell them, not we, I'm saying in general, folks can tell them, well, this is what you have to do. You can masturbate. Masturbation is fine. And then the books that they're putting out, that they don't even allow you to have in prison on pornography. They don't even allow you to have stuff like that in prison, but it can be in our children's libraries. And then when they say in this agenda, which is Public Act 102-0522, when they say in it that the parents can opt out if they want to. Now this is the thing that they throw out there. Well, if the parents can opt out, the reality is that the parents don't know how they're going to opt out. That's one. And then on the second end, when you think about the opting out, What happens when the children are in the classroom and you pull out these books?
Chaos, he sit back here, and then the same devils that put the disease out gonna cure you with this disease?
Say that.
All right.
Huh? Wake up, my people.
Wake up.
My sisters, I want you all to give that information once again. Give those websites, phone numbers, addresses, how they can get in contact with you all, where we can find it up on the website.
Okay, January 21st is a mayoral candidate forum located, it will be held at 125 East 26th Street. This church is right across from Michael Reese emergency room. 125 East 26th Street, January 21st from 1 to 4 p.m. I want everybody, particularly the young people, I want you to come out because we're standing up for you. It's not about me anymore. My time is gone. But as I said, I was a teacher and a counselor for 30 years in the Chicago public school system. Our children are wonderful children.
Yes,
they can learn if they're being taught.
That's what I'm saying.
But they're not being taught. And they have the wrong people over them. And as adults, it's our responsibility to protect our children. Let's stop saying we love our children, but we're not protecting them.
And if I could add to what Sister Doris was saying, we need to know that everybody's accountable. Everybody is accountable, and no one can sit back, especially after they've heard this and said, oh, I did not know. This is the reason why we're doing what we're doing. Public Act 102-0855. Take the time to READ. And it may seem like it's long, and it is. Intentionally.
All right.
Intentionally. We can't get through a couple of sentences without saying, oh, this is too much. But when we go and we have to be able to discern and read between the lines. When we looked at the thing and it says comprehensive, it's a comprehensive. That means complete. That means total. Total. Inclusive. Okay, we have to look for those words. And then, like I said, take the time to go back and research. Who are the ones who sponsored this? What was their intent? Did they read it? I mean, these are the questions that we have to start. We're not stupid, folks. We're not stupid. But sometimes we act as if we are. And this is why I'm saying divine providence has visited us.
Yes.
Divine providence is visiting us now.
That's right.
And we do not want anybody's child or our children's blood or anybody else's blood on our hands because we sat back and didn't do anything. And I'm going to also say specifically to these faith bases and these church organizations and the mosques and the synagogues and everybody that professes to be religious and they're in a leadership position, they are accountable.
You know we're going to have.
Public Act 102-0522. And they're going to have it covered under, bullying and all this other kind of garbage. Take your time, please, sir, and read the whole thing, okay? And when you see it, you'll be able to understand, oh, this is what's going on. It was legally crafted to make us think that all of this is good. But we know that it ain't good at all. We're not stupid.
You know we're here. This is, like she said, it's wonderful that we're here. We're actually here at Exodus. And so let us raise our conscience high enough to elevate ourselves so that we can elevate up and feel that consciousness that God has for us.
Absolutely.
Understand that you all aren't here by yourself.
Well, that's good to know. And if I can say the last thing is that on January 14th, here at Exodus, at, 1 to 3? 1 to 3 p.m., we're going to be addressing this again. So we're calling out everybody to come, sit at the table so that we can address this and make sure that it's known. And then we even have other things in motion that we're planning on doing when folks don't listen in the schools, when folks don't listen and they're running for office, when folks don't listen. We got some stuff planned for that, okay? But we're going to give them the opportunity to address it because as a concerned citizen and parent and mother and so forth and so on, I want to know, why did you sign off on that? Why did you sign off on it? That's what I want.
Let's give these powerful queens a round of applause. They have done a wonderful job. And we're going to come right back in about maybe 5 minutes with the next guest. And once again,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you,
We
Queen.
really appreciate you having us.
Thank you so much.
Bless you.